Welcome back to The Loop, your weekly dose of all things property management. I'm your host, Collin Stewart, and each week we're going to dive into the latest trends, strategies, and stories shaping the property management world. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, we're here to provide insights, expert interviews, and practical tips to help you navigate the ever-evolving landscape of property management. In today's episode, we're sitting down with Brittany Orellano, the owner of Scudo Property Management in Kansas City, to unpack how she built a property management as a true lifestyle business, designing systems, pricing, and team structure that let her step out of the day-to-day operations for nearly 5 years. We'll also dig into the hub and spoke model, acquiring a garage door and gate company in 2023, and what happens when you go from semi-retired back to full-time operator. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. I really want to get into the hub and spoke model of like how you're thinking and how you're thinking about that. But first, I want to dive into the property management side because it seems like you were living the dream that every property management business owner is looking for. And then you're like, you know what? Let's just shake it all up and throw it out and jump back into starting another company, which as a fellow entrepreneur, I totally understand, but it also seems insane. And it might be a little bit of both, because I think to be in the line of work that we're in, you got to be a little bit crazy in a great way.
Yeah.
Tell me about like getting it going. And I think you said, the building the plane while flying in. Like, what was your experience just kind of in the takeoff phase there, trying to hold on to the wings with duct tape?
Yes, exactly. I mean, having never had like a real corporate job, never having ran my own business and not knowing anything about property management, I really was learning as I went, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And you would get this advice and it was like, but literally, how do I do that? Like, I understand what I'm supposed to do, but like, what is step one to this? And so it was just a lot of trying to sort it all out, and then just really like needs based. So like, okay, the first time you get an emergency call at 3 a.m. and we had 3 young kids at the time, there's a way that we could kind of prevent this moving forward to where we have to be on call at 3 a.m. to take those calls. So a lot of it was more just born out of real life instances as they were happening. So the innovation came out of need and not necessarily being like this great visionary business owner. It was just like, this is not sustainable. There's got to be a better way. And that's what really pushed me to really quickly bring on.
The thing that blows me away is that as you're scaling up this startup, you were also scaling up your family. And like, I have 2 kids and I can hardly handle 2, and you have 4 now that you were doing this while starting this new business. How is that even possible?
Yeah. Well, I was younger, so I think youth helps. I think being naive and young and very ambitious. So, and being desperate because we didn't really have an option to fail because we were growing our family and starting our family. So to us, that failure not being an option was very real for us. It was a very real driver. There wasn't a fallback plan. There wasn't a safety net. There was no cushy funds for us to fall back on. We had to make it work, and we had to make it work with our family. And I think that was kind of the beginning of us recognizing, well, this is what doesn't work, is both of us working nonstop all the time, being on call nonstop all the time. And that's really, I think, what helped us identify what exactly is it we want from this business, because in any industry, there's a lot of noise around what you should want, or what a successful business looks like in that vertical. And for us, I think it took a few years for us to be like, okay, but hang on, what do we actually want? What is going to serve us? Because we don't want to just own a job that we hate working at every day. So what would make us excited and feel like, gratitude toward the business instead of resentful?
That's a great way to think about it. 100%. It seems like having a family, if I could reflect back to you, having a family forced you to immediately grow up as a business. Like I remember my first year and a half, I think I was only 27 when I was first getting going. And like I had a girlfriend and that's about it. And like I didn't see her much for the first, I don't remember how long. But I do know my nickname was, right, and deservedly so, the ghost of dirty dishes. Because like we didn't have a dishwasher. I would leave before she got up. I would come home and she'd be asleep, and I would have my dinner at like midnight and then leave dishes on the counter like a total asshole. And like, you just can't do that if you got 3 coming on 4 kids.
It's one of the greatest gifts of parenthood is they don't allow you to be that selfish. If I guess if you're a decent human being. So where adults will have a lot more grace, your kids are demanding in the best way possible because they're demanding things that add value to you too, obviously.
Mm.
So yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. If it wasn't for the kids and if it was just my husband and I, we probably would have endured a lot longer and a lot more before we realized there was a fire. But we started seeing smoke almost immediately just with new business, new parents, and everything we had going on.
What was the first system that gave you some sense of relief?
The rent collection. So finding a property management software that work orders could be submitted on, rent could be collected. I mean, that was within probably our first 30 days, as I was like, this is crazy. We are driving to pick up checks from tenants. Our tenants are texting us like, sorry, bro, pay it in a week. Like there was no standard operations. It was just us basically acting like realtors who were now getting thrown into property management. So I think first just kind of outlining, okay, what would be a good policy or what would be a good procedure? What should our lease agreement say? Now I'm very envious of people who have Chat GPT and these other tools because it's like that would be a lot quicker to get to that information.
Mm.
But it was really just coming from what do we think is fair and what day would we have to get rent by to clear owners' accounts by the 10th. So I would say really implementing the PMS software um, was hands down the best and biggest initial decision that we made.
Love that. Totally. If I don't have to drive somewhere to sign a document, it's a huge win. So you get greedy with all the software and on all the systems and the automations, and that probably gets you so far, but it's still reliant on you and your husband as the go-tos. So what came next?
So next was the remote hire, remote team members. So that was another late night find of just being desperate for help, but knowing we were years away from being able to bring someone on hourly or salary and still support ourselves financially. And so I believe it was Upwork. I forget I think it was called something else at the time. Do you remember?
There was Fiverr and Upwork, and
Yes.
and so you've got the business to a point where it is now profitable, it's running itself, it's not taking up too much of your time, and it's supporting your family. Roughly how many doors were you at when you made it to that point for the first time? Do you remember?
300 to 350 was
Okay.
like really when it just felt like, man, everything's running so smooth and so sweet. That was our sweet spot.
Love that. And then you mentioned that you kind of semi-retired from there. Talk to me about that decision and what that felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't like an intentional, just kind of like everything we've done. We just keep bulldozing forward, and then all of a sudden these things happen. And so I think I just kept working and working and working to implement processes, improve team members, all these things. And then all of a sudden it was like we had time. We had this surplus of time. And so it was not like an intentional, we're backing away from the business. It was just kind of like, does anybody need, like we don't really know what to do with ourselves because everything is covered. Everyone knows what to do. There's clear policy in place, there's clear procedures in place. We'd really outlined our processes. There was a lot of automations to fill in the gap. So it wasn't necessarily intentional. It was just kind of an awareness after a few months of like, we're not doing a ton in our business right now. And so that's when we kind of implemented our weekly meeting to just do a wellness check essentially on the business to say, hey, these are our metrics that let us know if we're healthy right now. Are we doing good on these? Are there any things we need to all group brain think on? And because our whole team has always been remote, it's important for us to just get face to face every once in a while and just say, how's everyone doing? Is there anything that we can all problem solve together?
And I think the comment you made was that as owners, you feel more like consultants than like in the day to day.
Without a doubt. In that business is definitely the role we feel is that if we're getting a phone call, it's more of a, hey, I just want to talk this through with you. What do you think is the best course of action? One of the most intriguing things about property management is that almost never are 2 days the same. We all the time are dealing with things that we've never seen before. Now we've got enough experience that, we have a leg up on maybe a new investor or someone new to the industry because we kind of generally know how to handle things. But there's just times that stuff comes up and it's like, this is really a gray area. I don't know whose problem this should be. Is this an owner thing, a vendor thing, a resident thing? And we talk through, or hey, how should I handle this with a certain team member that I see needs to be corrected? So it's been kind of a joy to move into that position of you'll take action on it, and we're just here to help try to support you in that action.
So you work your butt off for 10 years and you get the business to sustaining itself. You're,
Mhm.
as you call it, semi-retired. Do you take
Mhm.
up golf? Do you start knitting? Before we go into like what comes next, what was that experience like to go from like everything's crazy to suddenly realizing like it's going on its own, like that Frankenstein's monster moment where you're like, oh my God, it's alive. Like, talk to me about that feeling and like how did you react to that?
At first, it was incredible because it was just freeing. It was like, I mean, everything you want as an entrepreneur is to be in control of your time and to have that ability to make your own decisions. And unfortunately, most of entrepreneurship, small business ownership looks like everyone else demanding your time all of the time. And so I think it was just kind of incredible to be like, oh my gosh, it worked. Everything I have kind of had my head down and been plowing toward, it actually worked. And so it was really magical. It was really a moment because I guess just gratitude is the word I have for being a couple of knuckleheads who have no idea what we're doing. You know, the faith our clients put in us, the faith our team put in us. It was a special thing.
It resonates with me. I'm 14 years into this, and 2 years ago, I had a kind of did the opposite. I just like I pushed so hard and I didn't focus enough. I was kind of working on the systems, but I just burnt out and I got to the point where I didn't care about anything or anybody in the business and I wasn't a good founder, owner, CEO, and I had to step away. And I luckily I'd found somebody that could take the reins for 6, 12 months. I took 6 months off and like I think I spent the first month riding my bike or like playing video games. And I was
Yeah,
like, it turns out I'm terrible at video games now. Like I used to be good at them when I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't enjoy them as much as I thought I was going to. I'm like, this is going to be heaven. And
yeah,
after an hour, you're like, I'm so bored of this. I hate it. And I was supposed to take 6 months off, and after a month, I was so insanely bored that I just started doing stuff
yeah.
again. That's why I wrote a book, and then I just started taking on clients, and I didn't tell anybody. I'm obviously back in like running the company again, but
Mhm.
I just like I didn't step back into the things that I didn't want to do, and but it is funny how once you're an entrepreneur and you've got the bug, you can't stop. There's just something up here. Like even right now, like I've got so many things and I'm like, oh, and here's this list of like 7 or 8 different things that I could be doing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just chasing the dragon, you know?
It's it's obviously it's part of what drives you and it's part of like what makes you different and makes you so impactful with the time that you have. But
Mhm.
there's also a part of it that's like I do that's kind of the journey I'm on currently is where do I find pause? Where do I pump the brakes? Where do I get comfortable with being uncomfortable with quiet? And without chaos, because the whole time I'm in chaos, I'm craving that. And then when I get out of chaos, I'm like, kicking it up. So, yeah, just a part of the human experience.
100%. And so talk to me about the garage door and gate business. And so, what did that look like when you bought it, when you found it? Yeah. How does it kind of attach to the property management business?
So I think initially because of the roll up excitement, we were still trying to look for like what I referenced, like a hub and spoke model. Like, okay, our property management is what we're feeding on, and all these vendors that we work with, possible viable options for a business. So I kind of started by looking at the top spend. Who are the vendors that we are spending the most money on? And so those were the avenues that I kind of started down. HVAC, all these things. HVAC just felt extremely intimidating to me, and plumbing, I just felt like there's no amount of time under the sun that will make me ever understand HVAC or plumbing or want to. Same thing with electricians. There was a waste cleanup component. So, I mean, we were kind of looking at all those verticals. I don't think we cared deeply about which one, but we knew we wanted it to be service and we knew we wanted it to be a company that my garage door company my property management company could use. So impatience was probably part of it is that I just wanted to hurry up and get something under my belt. And so we found the garage and gate company. I was immediately attracted to it because property management is so multifaceted. You're a bookkeeper, you're a therapist, you're an advisor, you're all these things. And this just felt pretty straightforward. If your garage is broken, you call us and we fix it.
Brittany, I really enjoyed getting a chance to interview you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If people are curious, they want to get in touch, reach out to you, hire you, work for you, buy a garage door for you, from you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Have my email inbox super categorized. So I'm on LinkedIn, Brittany Orellano, and then my email is Brittany at scudore.com.